Thankfully, it's looking like we're about done with slow, tedious slogs, because these final 3 episodes of Attack on Titan are all pretty damn good. Yeah, I'm not going to wait until tomorrow. You are getting all 3 episodes of this final second season of Attack on Titan today. So, let's get started with this one, and then the next one, and then those two will get uploaded, and then the last one, the Season 2 finale. And it's pretty damn insane, that's all I'm going to say. So, take a shot of Pepsi here real quick. Soothe the voice, so I'm going to be doing a lot of talking. And let's get started. Oh, and attire-wise, this is for Landon Dickerson. Prayers up for him, please. As he's suffering, apparently, a leg injury of some kind from whatever. You know. If you've seen the news, you know. So, prayers up for him. Alright, let's get on topic here, because we have a lot to talk about. What's up, what's happening, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Mr. Station, which is a fan of the animation, including humanity, survival against Titans, as well as TV and movies. I'm your host and local anime fan, Jackson Small. Welcome to Attack on August Chapter 2, Season 2, Episode 10, aka Episode 35 of Attack on Titan, titled Children. Instead of doing the usual thing we do and go over an overview first, we're just going to dive straight into the summaries now, because I feel like since these are actual episodes with plot progression, we can actually focus on all the details. So, with this final 3, we're going to skip the overview and go straight into the summary. So, here we go. Straight into the summary. Coming to Ragako, Mablit discovers that the scene is, as the reports had said, rampant destruction, yet no signs of blood or remains anywhere. Mablit is skeptical of the idea that the residents evacuated to Walsina while leaving their horses at their town stable. A fellow scout leads him to the Titan atop Connie Springer's old home, while another recovers an item from the wreckage, a portrait of Connie's father and mom. He drops the portrait when the Titan suddenly stirs, and upon closer examination, he is stunned to realize that the Titan atop ruins bears exact resemblance to Connie's mom. In other words, it's confirming the suspicion that Connie had when he was in that village in an earlier episode. In the forest of giant trees, Reiner leads Ymir with the choice of ensuring a safe future for Historia or saving her own life. Still confused over the turn the conversation has taken, Eren demands to know who the real enemy is. Ymir herself is unsure, or at least she says she's unsure. Reiner and Bertolt prepare to take Eren and Ymir and move out when suddenly a line of signal flares is spotted along the horizon. Sorry about that. Storage issue bullcrap. Let's continue. Heralding the arrival of the scout regiment much sooner than expected. Bertolt stops Reiner, making sure he's in his warrior state of mind, and Reiner assures him that his mind is clear, for now. Bertolt is skeptical of Reiner's trust in Ymir, who ate their comrade Marcel 5 years ago. But Ymir's self-serving life until encountering Historia is reason enough for her to join their cause. Reiner clarifies that Historia's family's connections with the Order of the Walls make her a valuable asset, as having her with them will make their goal much easier if Eren is not the coordinate they are searching for. And apparently the coordinate is a code name for the Founder Titan who can command other Titans. As the soldiers approach, Bertolt assures Reiner that their time in the walls will be over once they can deliver Annie Historia and the coordinates of their hometown. Reiner suggests that once they return home, Bertolt should confess his true feelings to Annie, something that has become noticeable with how much he stared at her. With the two being murderers with short lives ahead, Reiner believes the risk is worth it. In other words, he's telling Bertolt to confess now because he ain't going to get a chance to do so later. Reiner maneuvers to Eren's branch and prepares to fight any fight that Eren will put up. Eren claims he is unable to resist giving his current state, but he mercilessly assaults Reiner shortly afterwards anyway with the tiny stumps at the end of his growing arms. While Reiner strangles Eren, Bertolt approaches Ymir and asks her if she remembers who she ate when she returned to a human form from 5 years ago. Ymir admits that she does not remember, but realizes that it must have been one of Bertolt's companions, and she apologizes. But Bertolt tells her that the memory loss was the same for himself and his friends as well, and Eren does not seem to remember who he ate either. As Eren slips into unconsciousness, which is conveyed well by some good cinematography. From Reiner's chokehold, Bertolt asks Ymir how long she wandered beyond the walls as a Titan. Ymir recalls that it was about 60 years ago, a nightmare that would not end. Approaching the forest, the military formation encounters many Titans on the front lines, but Commander Erwin insists that they must press forward. At the forest's edge, Reiner and Bertolt escape on their ODM gear, searching for an area without Titans to hinder their escape. Ymir wonders why they have hastened their plans until she spots the smoke signals for herself, realizing that scouts are indeed approaching. Reiner wants to avoid confrontation with Erwin, but Ymir feels a strong intuition that Historia is with the scouts approaching them. Reiner brushes off Ymir's demands for them to retrieve Historia, saying they will return for her another time. But Ymir believes she will be fed to another warrior before that can ever happen. If they do not wait for Historia now, Ymir will likely never see her again. Bertolt apologizes for their inability to retrieve Historia, and Reiner assures Ymir that Historia's safety is a high priority for them as well. Accepting their words and recalling her distant past, Ymir regrets her decision to lie to herself once again. And this is when we dive into Ymir's backstory and we find out who she truly is. Here we go. You want Ymir's full story? This is her full story. Over 60 years ago, Ymir was a nameless orphan beggar in a civilization beyond the walls. After being found by the leader of a cult, he gave the girl the name Ymir and declared that she possessed the blood of the king, which could grant the cultists immortality. Ymir's life took a turn for the better. She received good food, good rest, and the cultists worshipped her as a goddess. Ymir's role brought happiness to those around her. However, one day, the cult was discovered by a force of authorities who arrested them all at once. The leader of the cult immediately pointed blame at Ymir, stating that she had lied to them of her blood of the king. When cornered, Ymir chose to abide by the role that brought others happiness and kept her name. Afterward, the arrested cultists were brought through the streets and stoned by the onlookers. They were taken to remote borderland, and there the cultists were all given injections and thrown from the wall, transforming into mindless, murderous Titans. In other words, making the big, shocking reveal that all these Titans were once human. Every single one of them. Now, there are some that can actually control that, like Reiner, Bertolt, Eren, and Ymir. And then there are others who are just mindless abnormals who look for hunger. As a mindless Titan, Ymir wandered the world beyond the walls. Ymir believes that her punishment was not for her deception to others, but rather for her reliance on others' approval. After some time of wandering, Ymir's Titan rested in the earth, which settled over her as the decades passed by. One day, Ymir's rest was disturbed by the arrival of the warriors that were setting up camp, which were Bertolt, Reiner, and their friend. Ymir's Titan came for Reiner but grabbed Marcel when he pushed his friend out of harm's way. As the other three warriors fled, Marcel was eaten by Ymir. That night, Ymir awoke in human form under cloudless stars. With a new chance at a free life before her, Ymir promised to live a life for herself, free from the lies of others. However, after hearing of Krista Lenz from the Wallace, a girl who entered the cadet corps whose life some wish would never have happened, Ymir dedicated her life to finding this girl who shared a past so alike to her own. And after meeting Historia, Ymir came to realize that Historia was living a life of lies just as she had before her. With her mind made up, Ymir interferes with Bertholt's maneuvering, threatening to take Eren and escape to the scouts if they do not stop and wait for Historia. Reiner reminds Ymir of their situation, and Ymir admits that she is willing to risk Historia's future if it means they cannot meet one last time. She claims that he may be able to buy them some time to escape, or they could also fight to the death if Ymir's demands are not met, showing how deeply she truly cares about Historia. The pursuing soldiers finally reach the outskirts of the forest, noticing the light of a Titan transformation. Commander Erwin orders the troops to disperse and enter the forest. As the MPs face significant difficulties against the Titans, the rest of the soldiers avoid combat in favor of seeking out Eren. A scream is heard deeper in the forest, and the scouts pursue until they come across Ymir's Titan. Connie stops the others from attacking her, asking her where the others had gone. As more scouts gather around Ymir, she avoids conversation and looks at each soldier's face, looking for Historia. Armin wonders what Ymir is doing until Historia herself arrives at the scene, immediately catching Ymir's attention. When Historia approaches, Ymir's titan lunges at her and catches Historia in her mouth before making a quick escape, but does not eat her. The others pursue her, realizing that Ymir's allegiance has changed and they are lured into a trap. When Ymir nears the edge of the forest, Reiner transforms into the Armor Titan and begins their escape. Bertolt, carrying an unconscious Eren, grapples onto the Armor Titan's back alongside Ymir's Titan, who's hanging off its other shoulder. The others watch in disbelief as Eren is once again carried away by the warriors. But Hans rallies them into action. The soldiers return to their horses and begin a final pursuit for Eren's rescue. Hans is determined to rescue Eren, even at the cost of his own life. As we're about to find out soon, it's going to be what it costs, unfortunately. I mean, this show has been out for like 10 plus years or so, guys. If you haven't watched it by this point, that's kind of your own fault. These reviews are spoiler heavy because I need to talk about every single individual episode, and unlike something like Dragon Ball, I can't just separate it by sagas. Or, aka, spoiler alert, what I'm going to be doing with Demon Slayer in another marathon. Yes, Demon Slayer is in the marathons this year. And I'm pretty sure that's going to make a lot of you happy, because a lot of you really, really love that show. At least if my comment section is anything to be believed. Alright, so I've discussed the entire plot of this episode. It is a lot of exposition once again, but it is a lot better paced, and it's actual world building because it gives us Ymir's origin, and how she became who she is. And how she pretty much is a Titan goddess. So, yep, now let's move on to final thoughts so that we can give this one a final verdict and move straight on into the next episode, the penultimate episode of the second season. After 2 tedious slogs, the season gets back on track as it dives deep into who Ymir is, how she became who she is now, and her adoration for Historia, as the scouts close in and the final battle of the arc commences. This is a really good return to form for AOT that finally starts progressing the plot forward again as it heads into the season and the arc's big finale. Yes, it is still a lot of exposition, but it's paced solidly this time, and what it tells is genuinely good world building rather than being repetitious nonsense. It's not quite great yet, but it's on the right track, and that's why its final verdict is going to be a 7 out of 10. It's a really good episode, but because it is still exposition, I can't quite call it great. But, thankfully, I'm happy to say, because I've already watched the final 2 episodes of the season, it is going to get a lot better very quickly. So, I'll see you guys next time for Attack on Titan Season 2, Episode 11, aka Episode 36, Charge, the penultimate episode of Season 2 before the big finale. See ya. Decided for what comes up ahead. Hey,